Okay, sorry guys. You guys probably couldn't hear me. Let me start over. Yes, real quick. So we're gonna be talking about a bunch of things today. Our two headline guests is gonna be Pierre Coffey from Carver, Columbus, and then the other one will be JuJu Lewis, and then we'll get into our other topics later. But without further ado, let's go ahead and bring them on. What's going on, Coach?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
Oh man, hot, but I'm good.
Yes, sir. So, Coach, I want to really quick revisit last season. You guys made it all the way to the quarterfinals, right?
Right.
With this run as a head coach before losing to a really good Oconee County team. But as a defensive game, just how would you what stood out to you from that game, and how would you rate the season overall from last year?
Um, Overall, I thought it was a solid season. I think the guys from last year, they did a really good job of banding together and working hard, and getting to the quarterfinals. I mean, you get that far in the playoffs. I mean, anything goes. So. I thought they did an outstanding job. We had great senior leadership last year. We had 15 seniors, and all 15 of them signed college scholarships on some level to play football. So we were extremely pleased by that. For the Oconee game, I mean, it was a great game. Oconee, they were very well coached as well. And they had a linebacker that he was the real deal. But it was a great football game, and so we look forward to building off of last year's success and moving into this season.
Absolutely. And you had been at Carver previously. You come back. They're coming off a finals run, and it looks like you guys had a busy summer last year, just hitting the ground running, going to a bunch of camps. Is it going to be a similar summer this year?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, we started up our camp. We've already actually had kids camp at prospect camps already in different places from Georgia to. We had a guy fly out to Colorado today. We've had kids at mega camps already. So for his prospect camps, we've had people, already players already camping. And then for our 7-on-7, we pick up on Thursday and we go and camp down at Troy. Next Tuesday we got Georgia Tech. I think next Thursday we got Auburn. The following week we got Florida State. So we're gonna be wide open again this summer too. So.
Yes, sir. And then I want to talk about your starting quarterback last year. Had a good year in the Dean.
Mhm.
He's going on to the next level. But how does the position look for you in this upcoming year? Will it be kind of a QB battle, or is that position kind of solidified for the upcoming season?
No, so we're dead smacking the quarterback battle right now. We have two sophomore quarterbacks, and they're going to be very good. They both have potential to be elite players in their own right, elite quarterbacks in their own right. We have Jamarcus Davis. He's more the dual threat guy that can, he ran a 10-8 in the 100 coming out of middle school. Like he's a guy that can really, really run. And then we have a taller guy that's about 6'3", Matthew Mungin, who's more the traditional pocket passer who he can work the pocket well. He can go through reads, and so right now we're in the middle of a quarterback battle, and it's fun to watch because both of these guys they're pushing each other, and they both have potential to be elite players. So it's fun to watch right now.
And then real quick, I'll let you at the next question, Craig. Just how do your playmakers kind of look this season? Who some guys you're going to be depending on at the wide receiver and tight end positions? Guys that really stood out to you in camp and obviously in the offseason.
Right now, our receiver position is deep, and they're tall. There is it's a group full of rising sophomores, a couple juniors, and we're really excited about this receiver core. Like they really have a lot of potential to be a very good group together, and several of them have potential to be elite players at the on the high school level, and be big time prospects. If they continue to work like they're working and continue to grow. But Kimari Miles, he's a guy that's already camping at some of the SEC schools. He's 6'2", 165, 170 pounds. At 14 years old, he's running 4.6. Got 9 3/4 inch hands. So he's a guy that's like right now really excelling at receiver. Tristan Givens, he's even bigger. He's about 6'4", 195 pounds, and he's 15 years old, going into the 10th grade. So he's another guy that's camped at some of the SEC schools, and he's a guy that we're gonna be really excited about. I mean, he's kind of that matchup problem where he can play tight end and be that split out Y, and we're gonna try to utilize him as such. So he's a guy that we're kind of excited about as well.
Yeah, we're hearing a lot of size right now with some of these mismatches, but I know as a team, you guys like to be tough nose, hard nose, discipline, and physical all the way through. So, what have you seen so far just this offseason with the physicality?
That's one thing that's not going to change. I mean, we kind of pride ourselves on, blue collar workers mentality, and that's what we're going to do, and that's what we preach all season. That's what we preach in the weight room. That's what we preach when we're conditioning. That's when we preach that in team meetings. I mean, that's just going to be our identity, and what we identify with is being hard workers and blue collar guys, and so. Our team each and every year, even in the years past when I was here before under Coach McGee, that's what our team was built off of, toughness, and so that won't change year to year.
Talk a little bit about Coach McGee. Obviously, he's at Georgia now. You were an assistant under him.
Mhm.
Just what was that relationship like? And let's talk about that.
Oh, that I tell you, Coach McGee is an amazing coach. I got it. So I started my career at Greenville High School in Meriwether County, and when I left Meriwether County, I came to Carver, and I got a chance to see football from a total different perspective. Like Coach McGee was very detail oriented. He ran Carver just like it was a college program, and I learned a lot during that time under him, just watching him and how he did things. And so, of course, I tried to take a lot of that stuff with me, through my stops as a head coach. And so, but it was impressive just how detail oriented everything was, just, how he pushed the kids, how the kids rallied around him. And so, I've tried to, model my coaching style and my programs after some of the stuff that I've learned from him.
And then back to your group, right? I'm gonna start with the offensive line and then talk about your tailbacks. But I mean, you got all-state offensive tackle in Cam Dawkins, right? 6'3", 260, really great athlete as well. Just what makes him so different? And then just tell me a little bit more about your offensive line. Some players we should watch out for this upcoming season.
Yeah, on the offensive line, so we got Cam Dawkins, he's kind of our anchor on there. And he had several college offers from spring ball and even from the winter. And he's a hard nosed guy. He's a 3 year starter. And then with him, we also have Anthony Harvey. He's our center now. He's a 4 year starter. He started here at Carver High School as a freshman. And so this is his senior season. So we expect a lot out of him. He's a guy that's been in the trenches and he's a guy that's proven. And like I said, he to start here as a ninth grader. That's saying something. So we're gonna lean on him a lot, him and Cam Dawkins. But then we also have Tamarion McFarland. He's a returning starter for us. So we're returning three of our five offensive linemen from last year. Now, obviously, losing Kelton Smith, that's a big loss. With Kelton Smith who went to Georgia. However, we got some young guys that's behind him that they've stepped up to the challenge, and they're working extremely hard. With Zamar McGee, he's a rising sophomore. He's a name to remember. He's a really big kid, really physical kid at right tackle. And then we have another kid, Balin Carr at right guard, he played a lot last year. He started at the beginning of the season and he played a lot last year. And this year he should solidify the right guard position. So we have a lot of experience on the offensive line. So we're excited about that.
Yes, sir. And then what about the running back position, right? You're replacing all-state running back Jamari Riley. Who's going to step up for you there next season? Will you kind of split reps? Will it be kind of a two-back, three-back thing? How does running back look this year?
So we kind of always rotate backs because even with Jamari Riley, like he was our guy last year, but our number two running back, Deontay Childs, he rushed for 1,000 yards and he's back. So he'll probably be the main guy this year. And then with him, we have a guy named Kobe Castlin, and he was a special player here in the Columbus area in middle school. And so we kind of seeing a lot of that this summer, just how he works and how he moves and how elusive and how quick he is. And so between him and some other guys, Deontay Childs, Kobe Castle, and some other guys, we'll be running back by committee. But I'm sure those two guys will be like a 1-2 punch.
And then, how do you feel about the offense? You mentioned some of the potential mismatches. You got depth at the running back position, just overall in terms of balance, and then how it will compare to last year.
Yeah, I think we'll be more balanced this year in regards to pass to run. Last year we were very run heavy, and I mean we're gonna hang our hat on the run this year as well. However, we will try to utilize some of those receivers and some of their height, and create those mismatches. So, yeah, so I can expect for us to be a little more balanced this year in our offense approach.
And what did you see from? I think you guys had a spring game kind of within the program. Who stood out in that?
In that game, Kamari Miles. I mean, he was the black team. He played on the receiver for the black team. I think he had like 6 receptions for like 125, 130 yards. He had a touchdown. I mean, he was hard to stop. He was impressive. Sophomore receiver Kamari Miles. Also in that, Kobe Caslin, running back Kobe Caslin, he jumped over a play on that. I think we kind of went viral on Twitter. He broke an inside zone and got to the sideline, and he hurdled one of our 6'1" defensive backs. So that was impressive. Um, and that's the guy. Now I'm glad that I brought that up because Jeremiah Branscombe, one of our defensive backs, he's one of our team leaders, and he works extremely hard. And he's a guy that also has garnered a lot of college attention. Has several offers. He's 6'1", 190 pounds, and he plays corner. And he has been verified running sub 4.5 40. So he's a guy that we'll be leaning on and kind of using all over the place too.
Gotcha, coach. And then we haven't talked about the defense yet, but let's start with the defensive front, right? What are you expecting from this group next year? Who are some guys you're going to be dependent on? And then we'll talk about the back end in a second.
Okay, I kind of jumped the gun with Brunson then. Courtney Kelly, for sure. Courtney Kelly, returning starter on the defensive line. Last year we had a rotation. Now, obviously, last year I starting 3 defensive linemen all signed Division I scholarships, so they're gonna be hard to replace. But we're pretty excited about this young group. We have Courtney Kelly. He's a returning starter, returning all-region player. We have a kid, Joshua Gaucher. He's a ninth grader. He already has an offer from Georgia Southern and some other places. He's a big guy, 6'2", 260 pounds, and he's 15 years old. And then the other guys, I mean, they'll rotate. We'll have a rotation of guys. But those two anchoring the defensive line. And then in the linebacker core, we have A.J. Wilson. He's a guy, he picked up an offer from Central Michigan. And he's a returning all region player. I think he made all by city. He's a rising junior, and he's a guy. He can really get it done. And then on the back end, Jeremiah Branscombe, and some of those other guys, they're rising sophomores, but they've been really, really scrappy. They work really, really hard. So, the best thing about like that back end, we'll really know what we have, as we get through this 7-on-7 season this summer.
Gotcha, coach. And then, what's kind of your philosophy when it comes to coaching? How do you get the most out of your players and your talent for them to perform on Friday nights?
For us, like I said, we really preach on being blue collar, but we also preach being very family oriented, making sure that the kids understand that, you know, we're a family. We work here. We work together. We sweat together. We grind together, and that's kind of our mentality. Um, with the kids, they understand that we're gonna be firm, we're gonna be fair, but we're gonna be consistent. And at the end of the day, we got each other back. And I think the kids understand that. They know, I'm gonna coach hard. My assistants, we're gonna coach them hard. But it's all for the greater good, it's all about um, getting kids to reach their maximum potential, and ultimately using football as a platform, to further their education. So that's just kind of our mentality. We're gonna be hard nosed, but we're very family oriented.
And then what have you enjoyed most about coaching? And then what are some of the other stops have kind of just taught you along the way so you could just keep honing your craft and keep improving so you can continue to kind of, teach the kids, what football can do for them?
Man, coaching is my ministry. Like this is when I'm coaching. This is not a job for me. Like this is something that I feel that God has put me on this earth for. I enjoy each and every day, even the bad days out there when we don't have great days. It's still fulfilling, and it's still something that I enjoy. And ultimately, I'm always working to better my craft and make sure that my coaches are doing the same thing and they have that same type of mentality. And as far as my stops along the way, um, working for Jeremy Williams in Greenville, that's why I started out, and I learned so much. That was my first ever coaching job, and shoot, I mastered filling up water coolers. I mastered lining off the field. I mastered, you know, taping ankles and all that type stuff. And then I got to the point where I really learned football, and I had played, but playing the sport and coaching, it's totally different. And so, leaving there and getting with Coach McGee, like I said, I saw football from a totally different perspective, and I saw a high school program ran like a collegiate program. I got an opportunity to be the head coach at Spencer High School. Spencer was a school here in the city that hadn't won in several years. In my first year at Spencer High School, we went 8-4 and went to the second round of the playoffs, and we made all kind of history and had the first winning season since like 1977. And I've been blessed, guys. My 3 years at Spencer, we made the playoffs, played in a couple of region championships. I went to Chattahoochee County, played in 2 region championships, played, coached in 2 region championships and coached some really good players at Chattahoochee County. And then I get the opportunity to come back to Carver, one of my first stops. And so it's been fulfilling for me. And, I've kind of learned stuff from my assistants. I've learned stuff from the players. I've learned stuff, from the different schools that I've just, taken with me along the way. Um, it's been a great run for me.
Yeah, I think is this your 16th or 17th year?
This is 17, I think. I think it's 17, man. I get you. Hey, once you get past 10, I don't know who's counting at that point.
Yeah. And so you started out as an assistant principal, is that right? And then got into the coaching, and
No,
now
so
you're at.
so it actually was the other way around. So I've always, I was a science teacher and assistant football coach up in Meriwether County. And I was the head track coach and baseball coach. And then from there, I moved to Carver and I was assistant here. And then from here, I left and I went to went to Spencer, and I was the head coach at Spencer. And then when I left Spencer, I went to go be an assistant principal for 2 years. And then I left Baker Middle School where I was assistant principal and went to Chattahoochee County as a head football coach. And from
Okay.
Chattahoochee County to back to Carver. So that was the track.
And then I went to the state championship game. That was the year before you got there, where they
Mhm.
played Benedictine. I just got to say, the Carver community, that is a proud community. They
Yeah.
love their Tigers. So talk
Yeah.
a little bit just about how special a place it is, just the people that really support the program and continue to give back.
Absolutely. Like Carver has a very rich lineage and history and tradition of sports, not just football. And here, what's so great about being a Carver Tiger is once you play sports here, and once you've been in high school here, it's almost like you indoctrinate into a fraternity or a sorority or a big family. Like it's my lights went out here. Hold on, there we go. It's just one of those things where you have people from that graduated from here in the 70s and 80s. They come back. They lend a helping hand. They come back. They try to help out. Kids that's in high school here, uh, giving them an opportunity to be seen or provide exposure or doing whatever they can to kind of help kids that's in school here currently. And I think that's just why Carver's successful. I mean, it's been a big family, and that's even for the teachers, the administration, and also the coaches here. Everybody is extremely supportive, and everybody roots for everybody as far as sports related. The football players are gonna go support the basketball team, vice versa. They're gonna go support baseball. I mean, everybody try to support everybody here at Carver High School, and so that's what makes it so special.
And then you're going to scrimmage Lee County before things kick off. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, that'll be a big one. But so yeah, you got some camps. The players are going to be busy in June, and then you guys are going to hit the ground running in July, and then I guess we'll be here before we know it. But what were your impressions just of last year's schedule, the new region you guys are in, and 3A in general?
Yeah, it's tough, man. I often tease people and I say we're in the SEC West of AAA. It's a tough schedule because, and I think the only other region ours is Cedar Grove, Sandy Creek, Carver, Atlanta. I know that region is tough as well. But our region, I mean, between you got us and you got Thomasville, they're gonna be good every year. You got Daughter, they're gonna be good every year. You got Chris, they're gonna be good every year. And then our non-region schedule. We picked up Brookwood. We play 2 in-town rivals with Hardaway and also Spencer, and then we play Hateville Charter. And they have a history of being tough as well. So and Northeast Macon, and I mean they had the state lead in Russia. So our schedule is tough. But and I'm gonna be honest, we wouldn't want it any other way. I think that prepares you for, for those battles late in the season and also in the postseason. So.
And then, Coach, what are some goals you've outlined for your group so far this offseason and some things you want to accomplish?
Right now we just taking it one day at a time, and we're just trying to get 1% better each day. I tell our guys, I stack days. Like, hey, make sure we're better today than what we were yesterday, and that's what we're focused on. Today was day 2 of summer workouts, and I saw a lot of progress from day 1 to day 2, and I told my guys, I said, look, day 3 needs to be better, and so that's kind of how we take it. We want to chase the best version of ourselves every single day, and so that's what we're doing.
And I know you definitely preach that message that hard work is going to pay off. So you guys you have plans for these guys nutrition wise, making sure they're doing their reps correctly. So just talk about just how you guys are able to take advantage of the summer, just the overall just team attitude and mindset.
Absolutely. I mean, the summer gives us an opportunity. We lift. Yeah, of course, we have our nutrition here. We're gonna our guys that get that protein bars and shakes and all that stuff. But then also during the summertime, that gives us time to go to different OTAs and camp and spend time and build camaraderie with one another, and that's what's so important. I think during the summertime, we'll go down to Valdosta at the end of June for OTA, and then we'll go to Lowndes back down that way at Lowndes County in July. And that time right there is so vital, so important for us because it gives us an opportunity to kind of build camaraderie, kind of break the monotony of every day of just coming in, lifting and running and conditioning and all that type stuff, and really focus on football, really build that brotherhood, and be in the trenches with one another. So that's something that we really look forward to, and something that I think is vital for us for the during the summer months.
Certainly.
And I guess just last question, Coach, and we'll let you get out of here. I know you say you're taking it just day by day, stacking days one day at a time. But just what's been your favorite thing about this group so far, and just off season and what you've been seeing?
They're scrappy. That's what's so important. That's what's so important about this group. They are scrappy and they push each other. And these already, as rising South juniors, they're fairly close already. But just watching them grow and mature and push each other, it's fun to watch. And so I look forward to this season and the next couple seasons with these guys because I just think with some of these guys they really have elite potential. And I tell them all the time. I say um, the more you push each other and the more you hold each other accountable, the better you're gonna be. So, that's what's kind of exciting and impressive right now to watch.
Yes, sir. Well, Coach, thanks again for taking the time to do this interview. We greatly appreciate it. We'll be following Carver Columbus throughout the year. Thanks again. Good luck to your group with the camps and the season going forward next year.
All right, thank you guys. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, guys. So that was the head coach of Carver Columbus, Pierre Coffey. We have JuJu Lewis waiting. Before we bring him on, we're just going to show a quick highlight clip from his huddle, and then we're going to bring him on and talk to him. All right, so let me share a screen real quick. All right, so it's from freshman year. We're just playing a little clip of his highlights. Had a great year, 4,000 plus yards, 48 touchdowns. Really went off in the state championship game. I think over 500 passing yards. I mean, really impressive film. He's showing things at the college. I mean, on the high school level that you see in college, and on the next level, escapability. His ball placement is great. His ability to be able to lock a linebacker, and just be able to kind of fool him and then hit his other option as well. He's really great with his progressions. Seeing the field well. Like I said, great ball placement and accuracy. I mean, as a freshman doing this, I mean, it's really next level. I mean, obviously he's honed his game and, he's almost, you could, make the argument at this level, really a finished product. Obviously he's going to keep getting better and keep fine tuning things of his game. But I mean, it's really impressive film. Craig, what were some things that just stood out to you?
Well, I think you said it best. He doesn't get rattled. The way he moves, it's not even that he's extending plays. That is the offensive system. He's opening things up. You see the mobility. He keeps his eyes downfield. He's really at that next level already. You can just see that he's doing things that college quarterbacks do, looking to the flats, going over the middle, making tough throws. And then here's highlights from the state championship game where he obviously set the records. Just an unbelievable performance. I thought he got better as the season went on every single week and was just playing unbelievable at the end.
Definitely. But without further ado, we just wanted to show a little bit of his highlights. We're going to bring JuJu on. Hopefully he ain't too mad at us. He was waiting for a little minute, but we're going to go ahead and bring him on. What's going on, JuJu? How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing pretty good, man. So, everyone talked about kind of Carrollton moving up to 7A for the first time last year. You guys made it all the way to the finals. Did that kind of exceed your expectations, from the start to have kind of such a historic season in 2022?
Honestly, not really. I mean, I kind of knew with the group that we had and the coaches that we had that honestly anything was possible last year. I mean, it was Carrollton's first time being in the state championship since I think it was like 2014, something like that. So I think it surprised the fans more than the players because we kind of knew what we had in the room.
Gotcha. And then I want to talk a little bit about your career real quick. Just, youth football, FBU, things like that. Just how did that develop you? And, what did you enjoy most about kind of just youth football?
Man, that's a good question. No, FBU was real good, like in terms of like relationships and stuff. Like those relationships I'm going to take to on here on and so on. But, I feel like the competition I played in youth football was like some of the top competition you can play then. So that kind of like developed me as a player and like getting used to like actually having to compete in certain games.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think that's what's so impressive. And what I like about you, you've often said, like, I love this game. I love football. I love competing, practicing, preparing. And so what was it about just like middle school youth football where you were putting in that attention to detail where you're able to come in as a freshman, 7A football, and just have a season that really took Carrollton, who had kind of fizzled out at the quarterfinals, deep into the playoffs and in the finals?
Man, those extra hours, like youth football, me and my dad were out there every day before practice, 30 minutes early, just getting in throws, just kind of working on my craft. I mean, I've been training quarterback since I was like 7. So, I mean, I've kind of gotten built up in the moments, stuff like that. But I don't know. Coach King's did a good job this year with kind of like keeping me grounded throughout the year. He's definitely been a big part of my success this year.
Got you. And then what are some things you've been kind of, working on this offseason to continue to, hone your craft and, and improve your game and just, what are some things you're working on?
Honestly, right now, I'm just trying to get bigger and stronger. Like that's kind of been my main goal is like eating more, just lifting hard, running. That's kind of been my biggest changing point.
Got you. And then are you big on like diet and stuff as well? You kind of, take the keto diet or anything specific like you eat on the regular just to make sure,
Honestly,
you're getting what you need?
Not necessarily. Like I played last season at like 170. I'm like 188 now. So it's like I've just been eating everything. Right now with summer workouts start, I'm gonna try to like lean out, but like try not to lose any weight. But I'm going like trying to like low carb type thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
In terms of your just overall footwork, it's not just the throws. I mean, you've obviously been putting in the work, the way you're able to escape the pocket, keep your eyes downfield. Just talk about some of that training drills you've been doing, just working on that footwork.
Just like talk about the trainers that I've had, like stuff like that, or is that what?
Yeah, just how much of an emphasis are you putting into it? Because you can see, I mean, you look like when I play like Madden or something, the way you're able to just move around and just keep your eyes downfield, and it's not easy to move like that.
Yeah, no, I'd definitely say it stems from the offensive line that I had last season. Like they didn't really let anything kind of close in on me too bad, so I have a good enough spatial awareness where I could move around. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been training since I was 7, and I've been running around. That was kind of one of the things people said was like he can't run, stuff like that. But I think I moved around pretty all right last season. But yeah, it really just stemmed from my offensive line last year. I mean, I didn't have to run that much.
Gotcha. And Julian, my question for you is just, how have you stayed so grounded and humble with all the hype and exposure you've been getting over the past few years? Like, you were had a lot of hype around you going into your freshman year, and, you definitely exceeded expectations, right? And now recently, I don't know if you saw, but SportsCenter Next had you as a top player in your class for 2026. Just how you stay so grounded with so much, hype and exposure kind of around you?
Man, honestly, like I don't get too big headed because I know at the end of the day, I'm not where I'm at. I'm not where I want to be at the end of the day. So like, there's no reason to get the big head if I'm not where I want to be, and I wouldn't be what I am without my teammates. So there's no reason to act like I'm better than any of them or do anything different.
Yeah, talk about your teammates a little bit. Just it's no secret that the quarterback role, you're being vocal with them in the huddle, on the sidelines during the game, talking. Just talk about some of the players that you feel really comfortable with. You guys are on the same page, and they're helping you become that team leader.
I'd say probably my running back Bryce Hicks, my receiver Caleb Odom, and our freshman center. He had a crazy spring. He's Sakai Helton. I think he's like 6'1", 330 or something like that. Yeah, those are kind of been like my three main guys in the huddle. And Ryan Mosley cooked like a receiver in my class, but those are like my four main guys.
And then you mentioned your head coach right at the start, kind of, the relationship you have with him. Just talk a little bit about that, kind of walk us through how close you are with your head coach, Joey King, and how cool is it being part of kind of that Carrollton tradition?
Yeah, no, me and Coach King have built up a good relationship. I mean, I was with Coach King during the football season more than my family, so he kind of took over that like role as like trying to like he's been like my mentor type thing throughout that last year. Like he helped keep me cool in certain moments. Like people like to talk about my like level headed. I don't get too high or low, but honestly, like none of that would have been possible without Coach King. Just like kind of talking me through it. He's been there before with a quarterback of a high caliber, but yeah, Coach King's he's been good people to me.
And I mean, there's great football played everywhere, but I mean, you're in the state of Georgia, 7A football, and Carrollton High School. It's a historic program. You got a great coach, great facilities. So, what does it mean to you to just be in this varsity part of your career where you're at a school like Carrollton, where the expectations are extremely high and the traditions there?
Oh yeah, no, I love Carrollton. It's my home now. It's where I plan to stay throughout my high school career. So I built up lifelong relationships out here. I mean, I just got a house out here, so it's kind of like I'm kind of really like entwined with this town now. So just try to, honestly, yeah, I don't even know. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I don't know. I guess yeah. I mean, I'm just here.
Got you. And then if you had to say, Julian, what's been kind of your biggest accomplishment so far in your young career, whether that's youth football or even just, your freshman year? What's kind of been your biggest accomplishment if you had to kind of put it into words?
I would have said going to state championship game, but we didn't do very, very well in that. But yeah, I mean, I guess going to the state championship was a pretty big accomplishment in terms of like just like as an organization and a county and area. I feel like that was pretty big on the whole Carrollton city.
Yeah. Got you. And then what advice, I know you're still young and obviously still figuring things out, but what advice would you tell your younger self to get kind of where you are today, right? Seeing the success, obviously getting some of the exposure, but what would you tell your younger self when you were playing youth football? What would you tell that young JuJu of what he should do in order to get to where he wants to be?
Man, like y'all say, y'all talk about like the level headedness, don't get too high, too low. Like back in the day, like I said, Coach King really like was the one who changed me. Like before that, like I was a little hot headed out there. I was different. So I just tell myself to calm down. It's never too serious, but it's never serious enough to break character and stuff like that. So that'd probably be my biggest advice to myself.
Got you. And then you've competed in a bunch of, big time camps, right? Elite 11, all of the ones national across the country. Just which ones have you attended so far in your career? Just which ones left that kind of big impression that you enjoyed the most?
Man, honestly, most recent one I did was the Steve Clarkson thing. That was it had a lot of, there's a couple guys there. I mean, I think it was like 4 or 5 star quarterbacks, something like that, a couple college kids. But I feel like just in terms of like quarterback relationships, just being in Cali, talking to those guys was cool.
Yeah. Would you say the last couple of weeks have been the most busy part of your summer? Is it going to get even busier, or do you kind of get some downtime?
Honestly, yeah, I'm not really too much like focused on like the college visits right now. Like I'm just focused on summer right now and just trying to build my body up and get the relationship with the team so we can get ready for the first game of the season.
Absolutely. And then what are your expectations for this season? You mentioned Bryce Hicks. I thought he was one of the best players in the country last year. Definitely the state with what he was able to do. You guys were a really young team last year. It wasn't just you. So, I mean, how excited are you guys just to get back out there?
Hey, and football season is the best part of our year. So, everybody over here is pretty motivated. Last year didn't finish the way we wanted it. So we're pretty hungry to come back this year and get what we feel like we're going to earn.
And then let's talk a little bit off the field, right? What are some of your interests off the field? What are some things you like to do just to clear your head or even reset from the daily grind of just football, like kind of just year round?
And I mean, I'm still a kid. Like I play video games, stuff like that, like hang out with my guys on the team, but I don't really too much like have a specific like where I go out to or anything like that. I kind of just play the game and hang out with my guys.
All right, and what kind of games are you kind of into? You like Call of Duty, Madden, 2K?
I'm a Madden junkie. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm probably the best Madden player in the country. I'm not gonna lie.
Respect. And then, sometimes I'll ask young players, like, is there anybody in the league or even college you just, you kind of, model your game after, or you just like to watch this kind of guy, like, okay, hey, I could take some things from film from his game and I can kind of add it to my game. Is there anybody in the league or college that you kind of, look for?
honestly, honestly, not really. Like I'm trying to be the best me I can be, so I'm not really too much worried. I mean, of course, you watch like the Brady's and stuff like that in terms of like mindset and stuff, but honestly, like I just go out there and try to be me.
Gotcha.
And then, are you into any other sports? I mean, you ever play baseball, golf, anything like that?
I used to play basketball, but I had to stop because I wouldn't have gained the weight I needed to play varsity last year. Yeah.
Focus in. Have you been watching the finals at all? Do you have a pick on that one?
I mean, I got the Nuggets, but I feel like,
Okay.
yeah, you can't really do nothing about Jokic.
It's a beast.
Yeah,
for sure.
He's overpowered. You can't really do nothing about him.
That's true. And then I want to kind of go back to the quarterback position and just kind of walk us through, how important is it to kind of like, break down and look at film and kind of just, dissecting coverages and knowing, kind of getting a beat on the defense before you even go out there. How important is that film study, especially for the quarterback position when you're the kind of command of the?
Man, I mean, it's super big. Like I was in here with Coach King 7:30 in the morning every day and after practice every day. I mean, you got to know what's going on to go out there. Like it's not just like we played some great, like real talented teams. So you have to find stuff where we can pick stuff apart because a lot of stuff's not going to be there. So just understanding the defense is really the only way you can move the ball, and I figured that out pretty fast.
Got you. And then I kind of talked about your game too before you came on. Just like I kind of sensed it in you. You just never rattle. No moment's too big for you. Obviously, where does that kind of just come from? Sometimes you'll see a QB make a mistake, right? But then you're just, like I said, you're just calm, cool, and collected, and you're going to keep firing no matter what happens in the game, whether it's an interception or the defense, can't get a stop, whatever it is. You just seem like you're always just firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, like I said earlier, like it's really like I give all that to Coach King and my teammates. Like he keeps me real level headed, and like going out there after you make a bad play and him trusting you to make another, like to throw the ball again is really a big confidence booster almost. But yeah, that's probably the main man in terms of keeping me level headed.
Got you. And then I guess kind of this another question as far as your career in high school. Obviously, I know you said getting back to state and finishing the job, but do you set any personal goals for yourself? Like, hey, I want to throw for this mark, or hey, I want to reach this kind of pinnacle, or is it just kind of I'm more team oriented and whatever the team does, all that will just come down the line.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie. I just want to win. Like that's all I really care about.
Then what is just your ultimate goal for your football career? I mean, what motivates you each day to just wake up and try to be the best version of yourself?
Yeah, my end goal, of course, everybody's end goal is the NFL. Like that's every kid's dream. But yeah, what wakes me up right now is you think about that state championship game. That'd definitely get you up out of the bed and ready to practice. But yeah, something like that.
Got you. And then just how do you manage it all as far as just being a high school athlete, managing school, managing visits, managing colleges always calling you, managing relationships with your players, your coaches. How you manage everything just on a day to day?
I mean, I don't really do too many visits and stuff like that, but during the season, I'm not gonna lie, school is hard in terms of like homework and stuff like that. But Coach King does a good job of giving us time and like, I mean, if we need academic help, they'll help us. Like Carrollton does a real good job with the academic support in our building. I know a lot of great people in our school building. Like none of our teachers are like they're not gonna like rain down on me because I'm a football player. Like they understand what we have to do.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then I mean, you've been at all these different camps. Obviously, 7A, you guys are trying to win that this year. But what have you just gotten from just meeting players from around the state, other quarterbacks that might be seniors this next season? Just overall, just making relationships with some of the other players.
Yeah, no, I made some real good relationships throughout like throughout last season and just like my past, just training with kids and stuff like that. So, when it comes time to commit, there's a lot of great players in Georgia. So, you might want to bring some of those kids along with you, some of the D linemen and stuff like that, and the O linemen.
Gotcha. And then I guess one more question for me, just obviously, progressions and obviously how important film is. Is there any other game things you want to just, add to your games to, obviously continue to, improve it, whether that's, ball placement, whether that's being, out of the pocket more, just any other things you want to just add to your game just going forward?
And honestly, not really. Like a big focus in the film room this year has been learning coverages and actually being able to dissect them. That's kind of been my biggest thing is if I can understand the game, I'll know what's going to be open for seriously. Last season I did a little bit of it, but this season I'm trying to come out different.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I liked your tweet when you're talking about the offseason. I think it said loading year 2. So is that kind of just the general mindset the rest of this offseason? Just you got your eyes focused on each day, just getting bigger, as you said, getting stronger, and just preparing yourself for that long run.
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, that's definitely all that's on my mind right now. That and getting ready for the next school year.
Gotcha. Well, Julian, we just want to say thanks so much, man, for taking this time out of your busy schedule, man, just to come on here and talk with us. We wish you good luck going forward, and for your group, and obviously we'll see you probably throughout the season with some of the games on TV and things like that.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So that was JuJu Lewis. Obviously, he's a hot, prospect, bright future ahead. Plays for Carrollton, so go check him out, man. Twitters and all that will be linked below. It's Huddle Tape. Definitely a bright future ahead. Appreciate everybody. We peaked at I think about 8 people watching at one time on the broadcast today. So we're gonna get into our other topics and then conclude the show. But very jam packed day. But let's go ahead and get into it.
That was great.
Yeah. So. Major news across recruiting, right? Sammy Brown officially commits to Clemson. He didn't take the rest of his official visits. So that is locked and loaded. He committed last night. That was very big news for them. I think Clemson, as we mentioned, right, top linebacking core in the country. But by the time he gets there, as he mentioned in the interview with Luke, they're going to be gone, right? They're going to either be playing on the next level or they're going to be out of school. So it's going to be wide open for him going in the 2024 class, being able to basically commit. Being able to kind of, be the star. But what do you think about his commitment?
So when you look at what Clemson's been doing with their recruiting, they're loading up on the defensive side of the ball and getting a ton of talent. They have Barrett Carter at linebacker right now. They're rated as the number 1 linebacker core. You add Sammy Brown, you're hitting the jackpot. That guy is such a rare combination of athletic gifts, runs a 4.4, squats over 600 pounds for literally 3 reps, is a state championship wrestler, is already at 230 pounds, state championship in the long jump. The only other guy I've seen that has that combination of speed and strength is Nick Chubb. They obviously are going to play different positions. I just think what I've seen from Sammy Brown, where he's playing both sides in high school right now, he's running the ball, but he's going to be able to cover against the pass. He's going to be able to come downhill and outstrength guys. He's going to be so hard to block. So I just think Sammy Brown to Clemson, it just can't be overstated how big that is just for their program. I think he's going to be a multi-year star there, and the sky's the limit.
Definitely agree. And then we got other news. Cameron Fountain also, I think, 2024 class. He just committed to Tennessee, I believe. So what do you think about that news? Him kind of going there and sending down his commitment as well.
No, that one was huge. And I just want to also say you completely called it to the day. Now, as you put in the show notes yesterday, Sammy Brown, Cristobal, Clemson, and we leave the office and he announces his commitment. He also said on the show a week ago that he thought Sammy Brown would pull the trigger within a week, and it happened. So, I trust you on that. Cameron Fountain, another good one. But yeah, we're seeing they're starting to make their decisions before the season starts. June's been busy for everyone. They're going to all these camps on site.
Yep.
So I think we're going to see a lot more of it. But yeah, these are some major signings, and I think these players are wanting to get it
over with.
Yeah, wanted to get it over with before the senior season. Same thing with Aaron Philo. He said, I'm not even taking any more visits.
I'm done.
I'm locked into Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and I'll elaborate a little bit more on the Sammy Brown story. I just think, like, you know, I was at a 7-on-7. The league was called G7 Passing League, and I seen his dad. Obviously, we didn't have a very long conversation, but I talked to him a little bit. He was like, "Yeah, my kid, he's being recruited by Clemson right now," and I just seen him, and then I seen the Clemson shirt, and then you know I just kind of put two and two together, and you know when he was talking about the program, his dad was smiling, so I could kind of see, okay, obviously it's the kid's decision at the end of the day, but you know you put two and two together, and how his dad feels about it, and obviously parents have great influence on their kids. I just put two and two together, and I was calling about a month ago, before it was even crystal ball by Steve Wolflong, for 247. I just kind of knew I had that gut feeling. I was like, yeah, he's going to go there. And then I think the good thing for colleges going forward is obviously it sucks for Georgia. They didn't land them, but they're going to have other prospects they're going to try to get. Is if you blow away a prospect when he comes for an official visit, you can lock him down prior to him even going to other schools or him even wanting to, be at other schools and see what they have for him. And I think that's the big thing for colleges. If you can have a really good baseline and you show the athlete like you really care and that, this is what it's going to be when he comes, then you can lock him up early. And a lot of these athletes, especially the major athletes, they want to lock up their commitment early so they can focus on the senior year. And as Sammy said in that interview, focus on Clemson once my season's over. And I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, let's just add one more trait that Sammy has. His dad's a coach. This guy knows the game extremely well. That is invaluable. He literally he has the complete package of that linebacker position. I think he's going to be just an absolute force. And Clemson has an opportunity to represent the ACC. Obviously, Florida State's doing their thing too. North Carolina's had good seasons. Miami's trying to get back up. But I just think what Clemson's doing defensively, it's like they're going that Georgia model. They're just trying to just have lights out defense where if you don't have a good enough offense to really overwhelm them, good luck scoring 20 points, 30 points. It's just not going to be enough.
Yeah, and then one more recruiting update. Actually, Justin Green, he just committed to Georgia. He's a defensive tackle or defensive lineman for Mountain View. This was reported by Jeremy Johnson for 0-3. So that's another major piece that Georgia lands. They get an in-house talent. I think that is very big for their program to continue to land in the major prospects. So that's another big get, I think, for that program. And, he talked about what stood out to him. So, yeah, we got some guys kind of the dominoes are falling and some, major athletes are starting to go ahead and sell down their commitments.
Yeah, and gosh, Mountain View, that's just another Gwinnett program when they've been on the uprise. You got Meadow Creek with Coach Watford. I mean, Gwinnett County, it's a huge sign. And when you're competing and starting on the defensive line, going up against these other powerhouses, he's big. He's already at like 280. I just think it's a good get, and he's obviously been doing his thing for multiple years.
For sure. And then that's what we got for us, the updates. A lot of marquee talents actually saying where they're going to go. But I'm not going to reveal this news, but I did actually run into Kyle Vaca at the NIL Summit when I was at this weekend. And it looks like he's gotten taller. I'm not going to lie to you. Look, he's gotten taller and looks like he's ready to go. And he talked about a few of his visits and said what really stood out to him was Western Kentucky, UAB, and also Louisville. So keep an eye on that. He may have a decision not too far down the road, maybe the end of the summer or right before the season kicks off. So stay tuned for that. But talk to him and his dad, and it's been blowing up for him. I kind of told his dad, I was like, don't worry. It's kind of ironic though, Craig. Me and you talked about it. 0 offers, no one's talking about him, and now he's officially at 13 offers.
I was gonna ask if it
and his dad was blown away. Yes, his dad was just blown away by it. He was like, "Yeah, you called it."
Because last season when he was on Johns Creek, it's like he was having good games, but their offense wasn't moving the ball well. And so, I mean, when you don't have a productive offense, it's hard to really show. But once he had that first breakout game against Pope, I think he went 200 yards, had multiple touchdowns. That put him like at the top of the region standings for most receiving yards. And then he's added so much size, gone to these camps, hit the 37, 38-inch vertical. And as you said, he's big now. And that's the next level of his game, because I think he has good hands. His route running's fantastic. He's really fast. He's a deep threat.
Yep.
And yeah, he is blowing up for sure. And Western Kentucky, they've got some connections on the Kell staff, some former greats, and so I think they're running a similar system. So
Yeah.
that would be a good choice, but I just think his offers are going to continue to come.
Yep.
And it's just undeniable just the work he's put in.
Definitely. But before we go to our college in the second segment, is any other big recruiting news you saw, or just any potential Craig crystal balls or anything that you've seen?
I think you were talking about Kylan Fox with Grayson. I think he's going to be a big-time playmaker for them.
Yeah.
We saw him last year. Definitely a star. Expect a big year from him, but we'll see where he ends up landing.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say, too, I think that'll stand out to him. I think Florida State and Georgia Tech. So, keep it locked for there. Don't be surprised. And I'm going to go ahead and say this now here. I've told you off here, Craig. I'm going to tell you on there. I think Clemson's going to land another 5-star. I'm not going to say who. You know who I think is going to land there, but I think they're going to land another 5-star. He's going to surprise everybody when he goes there. I might reveal it on my show Thursday, who I think that's going to be. But Clemson's going to land another 5-star. You're going to really see the recruiting thing kind of change form, and it's going to be a Georgia player. So I don't know if that gives it away. There's a few big 5-star Georgia players in that being recruited by Clemson, but I think another 5-star player Clemson's going to land, and you're going to see Clemson slowly get their way back. Well, not slowly, but they're going to get their way back into championship contention, and it's going to be with this 2024 class, and obviously this year coming up.
I was going to ask if it was going to be a underclassman they're going to offer or a senior.
Upperclassman. It's going to be a senior.
So that will be big news.
Yes. So when it breaks, don't be shocked. Definitely be tuned for that. And yes, Jimmy, you did miss him, but don't worry, we're live, so you can always go back. He was in our first segment. Very jam-packed show today, man. We just talked to JuJu Lewis, top player in the 2026 class, and then we talked to Pierre Coffey for Carver Columbus early on about the first 20 minutes of the show. So definitely go back and watch that. We did want to bring him on here for you so you can see a little bit about the program. Some really great guys. He's talking about your receiver. Offensive line, I think, is going to be really good this year, and it's going to allow you guys to be competitive. But yeah, he has some really good insight on the program. So yes, go back to the beginning of the show. We definitely did talk about that. But let's keep it moving. Georgia Southern football team. That's what we're going to kind of profile today. Craig, I'll let you mention kind of the transfer they got from Kentucky. I thought you did a good job of breaking that down. But I thought one of the biggest standouts is the change in the system, right? Going from triple option to kind of an air raid system. We've seen this recently with other programs. And adapt to this, and they become better and better. And I think that's going to really help this Georgia Southern program and be able to land more marquee and high-end talent to come to their program. And I think a name to kind of keep an eye out for is Caleb Hood. He is the career leader at Georgia Southern with 151 receptions. He's going to be a big part of the offense next year. And the guys he brought in, J.C. French from Memphis, a former Georgia player at Southern, and they got Colton Fitzgerald as well coming in. So interesting to see what their starting quarterback's going to be, but they're bringing in a lot of experience. The offensive line, keep this correct, they are going to have a seventh year starter in Brian Miller and a 6th-year starter in Khalil Crowder. So the offensive line they're bringing in is going to be very deep and loaded. And I can't wait to see how it's going to be when you're bringing back that experience on the offensive line and those returning starters. I mean, man, you're going to have a lot that you're going to be able to do.
I really like their offense. So, yeah, Clay Helton came in last year, changed the offensive system. They had a transfer quarterback. Now they're going to have another one. Davis Brin from Tulsa, 6-year senior, passed for 5,400 yards, 35 touchdowns in 22 games at Tulsa. So Georgia Southern, I think they're going to be fine passing the ball. The offense improved significantly from like 20 points a game to over 30. The big question will be their defense. Can that improve? I think they gave up 30 points the last 2 years. They had 8 one-score games. They went 4-4 in those. They are a team that continuously makes bowl games, but winning the close game, keeping that offensive moving, and then trying to benefit from these new transfers they have on the defensive side, that will give them a chance. But I think that's when you can have that fast turnaround. When you bring in a new coach and transfers for that system, you can make a big change.
For sure. And I think they're going to be interesting to watch. Obviously, we know a few Georgia players have went there. Obviously, one being, I'm drawing a blank of his name. Aiden Jackson's going there. Obviously, when you're a freshman, it's definitely hard to get in there. But I think he'll, gain some valuable experience, being at Southern and in a program that's, constantly competitive out there in that Sun Belt. And as we know, Sun Belt has been pulling off some major upsets. I think Southern pulled off the upset last year and beat a really good team. I think they beat Nebraska. Coastal Carolina pulls off upsets. Appalachian State, I think, beat Texas A&M. So Sun Belt's a conference. It's not Power 5, but they're obviously doing great things because they have players coming from Coastal Carolina and from other Sun Belt schools are doing major things, and they're, able to, land guys in the NFL, and they're having their impact, right? A recent one is the tight end for the Baltimore Ravens, right? He's been doing a great job for them, in kind of his rookie year, right? He's going to have a bigger role next year. So I think the Sun Belt is, it's not talked about a lot. Obviously, they have their own media and things like that, but it doesn't really make headline news or the national media. But I think Sun Belt does a good job of, creating players, to be able to play on the next level and has, really good competition where they're able to go and battle against these name brand top schools.
Yep, they have been showing up in those big matchups and making it really tough, even winning a lot, producing big upsets. I like the Georgia Southern, Georgia State rivalry that's basically getting better and better each year. I think it's going to be interesting to see this season. Georgia State's going to be a team that's going to run the ball more. They're going to have a mobile quarterback where Georgia Southern is going to have that Prince Avenue Christian air raid. We're going to try to pass on you. So it's a good contrast of styles. I do want to mention Marquez Watson Trent for Georgia Southern. He is their leading tackler returning. I think his leadership will be very crucial this year with the new defensive coordinator and some pieces.
Definitely. And then let's talk a little bit about NIL as we move forward. Definitely check out Georgia Southern this season. But I got a post for you guys I thought was really interesting. We're going to share the screen here. I thought it really stood out to me just about, the average of what football and basketball players are actually making. And we're going to share the screen with y'all so you guys can see. I think it'll be really, really intriguing, get you guys' viewpoint as well. Definitely use the comment section down below, right? All right, so this is by Jason Belcher. How much are student athletes really making? They talked about NIL Summit, but look at the NIL compensation for college football. This is just for the athletes, right? Power 5, right? This is the major conferences: SEC, ACC, Big 12, Big 10, Pac-12, right?
This is from collectives only.
Yes. So 45,000 is the average. That's for a starter. Too deep, you got to think about. That's, you're paying second string benches, those depth pieces. So 45,000 even for a starter. I mean, that's the average, right? If you're too deep, you're 25,000, 15,000, right? And then we can keep going, right? This will be football compensation for transfer portal for top athletes. If you're in the top 10, 500,000, right? 250,000 for top 25, top 50, 125,000, top 100, 100,000, and so on and so forth, right? And then for basketball, a little bit better, kind of for the athletes. I think maybe because it's less. Top 3, Power 5, you're making 75,000 on average. 50,000 for the top 6, top 9 are making about 15,000, and then the mid majors, the schools we mentioned, as far as the Sun Belt and other conferences, 15,000 if you're a starter, about 5,000 for top 6, and then top 9, 1,500, and then for Group 5, A10 and WCC, that's like Gonzaga and those kind of schools, St. Mary's and everything like that, 35,000 for top 3 and starters, for top 6, 15,000, and then 5,000 for those in the top 9. And then this is on average for those in the transfer portal, the top players, about 500,000 for those top players that are transferring. Top 25, 350, 250,000 for the top 50. So it's really, really interesting to see. What's your viewpoint and standpoint on that, Craig? Seeing that?
Well, the one thing I kind of question is like with that top 10 for the transfer, the 500,000. How would that compare to like the top 10 players not transferring?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, where's that money coming from? Is it coming from just the new school? That's kind of confusing to me because I feel like your potential Heisman winner, if he's staying at that school, he's going to be making more. But that's the craziest number for sure.
Yeah.
Just how much the top 10 transfers, because at that point, it's like, so if you're leaving, there's usually a specific reason. But could it also be a situation where the school you're currently at is going to want to match an offer? I don't know. It's just those are some great numbers. But I mean, what was your main takeaway from the NIL Summit?
Yeah.
I think the goal of that was they have more of like the collective attitude. They're trying to democratize it, give access to more of the athletes to get involved and understand it. But was that probably the first year they've had it? I mean, what did you kind of learn from it?
So I did a lot of interviews at the event, talked to a lot of people there. My biggest standout is actually it's a 5-year partnership with them in the College Football Hall of Fame. So that was the second year they did it. But what I think it allows is the athletes to be able to go there and just be able to kind of, make connections. I think networking is very important there. You have a bunch of brands that the athletes can talk to. They have panels, right? You have panels explaining what NIL is. They have panels explaining what it is to use Invesco QQQ and things like that, how to get financial education. And I think the biggest thing was the resources, right? Having the resources for the players so that they can learn, know more about different things, how they can best brand themselves, where they're able to make money. But just being able to set themselves up and their families up, I think for the future, I think was very important. And the crazy thing is, a lot of the athletes, right? These aren't your marquee athletes. These aren't your people that obviously Flaugier was there and she's known, but the athletes that were winning these awards, they weren't necessarily starters or they weren't necessarily like the marquee Caleb Williams or things like that. These athletes were still making a lot of money because they knew how to brand themselves in the right way. And they were winning awards, and it was from guys you wouldn't think, right? Offensive linemen, defensive tackles, they're just winning awards and already having a big brand that they've built already off the field where they can use that in future. And I think that was the biggest thing for me is that it's not all about just that clout and things like that. It's all about how you're able to brand yourself and put yourself out there where brands can kind of gravitate towards you and things like that. It really blew me away. It did. I think if anybody that wants to go, obviously I got DM'd on LinkedIn to go from Chase Griffin, who's a quarterback for UCLA. I think you should go. And that's my biggest thing with things. I like to go and obviously I think next year my plan, if I was to go again, is I want to sit in more panels. I want to learn more about what they're really trying to do and accomplish because before I give a standpoint or viewpoint of something, I want to be educated. I don't want to just say, oh, I feel this way about something, but not know the knowledge and standpoint of what they're trying to do. And I think next year I would want to go for more education and learn more about what they're really trying to do and what this platform is for these athletes.
Yeah, well, I thought it was in Nashville. I
No,
saw one in Nashville.
that was on 3 NIL. That was with Rusty and their company. This one was in Georgia.
Yeah. Well, I saw that now, but I thought everyone was in Nashville, and then it's like, no, it's right downtown the whole weekend. But
yeah, College Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's interesting. It's just at the same time, so a player's going to get nominated to go to this or whatever. They're going to pay. They obviously have to be in school right now. Are they paying just to listen, or
not necessarily? Something. I mean, I didn't pay to go. I don't think the players. I think it was an invite for the players to come because you had the cool thing, Craig. It wasn't just football or basketball, right? You had the top gymnasts there, right? You had the top track and field players there. You had just different players across from all over, and I think that's what made it so cool is that they could make connections with lifelong friends. I had people asking me, "Okay, well, hey, you're in the media, right? I'm a basketball player. How do I get to where you are today?" And it was so cool to be able to give those players advice. And I think that's what's next for it is being able, and that's what I think they should do, being able to have opportunities for players outside of obviously the sport they play, but landing something where they can have opportunity later on. And it was so cool to be able to share because she was so, into it. And she was like, well, how do I do that? How do I get to that next level? And it was so cool because I was able to tell her, like, well, one, you got to be multifaceted, right? You can't just be good at one thing, right? And you always, now I can say this, guys, Craig always praises me in what I do, and I appreciate that. And he always tells me, like, you just do things different, right? You know how to do a bunch of different things. And I think that's the best thing I can say. In any industry for someone that wants to get in, just be good at a bunch of different things, right? Be versatile. And I was able to tell her, like, be versatile. She was like, well, how do I improve my own air presence? Talk to yourself in the mirror, right? Like, that's how it starts. Get people to record you talking about your sport. You already play the sport of basketball, but being able to kind of put yourself out there and work on your craft, as I was telling her. And she was just blown away about, all the knowledge and tools I had of it. And it really, I think, would like resonated with her.
Okay, that makes sense. So what I saw is like they were offering like hotel packages for athletes that wanted to come from anywhere. It's like they had
all over California,
things at the Omni, and so they're going there just to get advice on how to build a brand and invest and stuff.
Yeah, build a brand. I say invest. Learning how to connect with brands, learning how to put yourself out there.
But what were you saying about the awards they won?
Yeah, so you had NIL Athlete of the Year. So basically the award ceremony was Friday, and then they had a red carpet, right? People, best dressed were coming in, and then it was a bunch of different awards. NIL Athlete of the Year. Um, it was that's the one that stands out to me. But there's a whole bunch of awards they had Friday night. They had dinners and things, free food, and things like that. So
I'll have to check it out next year.
yeah, you definitely should. But it was a fun event. Obviously, I'll have more content on it on my personal channel if you guys want to check it out. Sports Talk with Naj. Talked to some really great people there. So it's all going to be there. Check it out. It really stood out to me. Excuse me. And it was a lot of fun. Got to meet a lot of great journalists and media people, and some of the top people in the country. Michael Vick was there. Trent Dilfer was there. Rob Bach and John Brinkus were there as well. So it's a lot of fun.
Vick's got a relative on Milton this year. Is that right?
Yeah, Shamar Vick. I'm actually going to interview head coach for Milton and find out more about him. So it'll be really, really interesting. But let's keep going. Obviously, let's get into our last segment and we'll kind of wrap up the show. NBA Finals, right? 1-1. Craig, I'm going to start with you. What are your thoughts? I mean, I know you got Nuggets, but I'm kind of glad I won a competitive series. I don't want something that's just a blowout or sweep or something like that. Like, I want something fun and competitive. Just what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I give a lot of credit to Miami. The effort's just unbelievable. They did what not many teams have done, gotten a win in Denver, and they did it with just an unbelievable comeback. And then once they got control, they built a lead. Denver was trying to come back in it, but it was just a great game. It showed they can overcome deficits, go back and forth with the runs. I thought they closed out well, played great as a team. You had tons of players stepping up, and then I was just watching it like a fly on the wall, just looking at the score get closer and closer. And then, it was a wild ending, but I just thought it was huge. A lot of people were saying sweep just early in the game when Denver had the lead, but for them to come back, get that win, it was huge, and I'm excited to see Miami rocking.
I think Bam Adebayo has been good in this series. As I mentioned, he has to be one of the key players. I mean, he's playing on both ends. His block. Obviously Jokic's going to get his, right? He had 40-plus points, but Bam has been averaging 24 and 10, right? I think he's been great offensively for them, and he's been kind of that source. Obviously, Jimmy had the 21, right? But Gabe Vincent's been big in this series, hitting those big shots. And people don't give Miami credit because they think they just have role players, but they know they roll. Even Steve Kerr came on Draymond Green show and was like, players accepted their roles. They were, and they didn't fight about it, right? They weren't like, oh, well, I'm not getting playing time. I don't really care. They all buy into their roles. And as an AFC doing what they're doing, as you mentioned, Jimmy, right now, it is unheard of, right? You don't see things like that. But they're a team that is united by connectivity and cohesion. And the cool thing, Jimmy, actually I want to add, too, is that Tyler Hero's even thinking about not even playing the series. He's like, I don't want to mess up what they got going. Obviously, I'm a great player. Obviously, back to what I was saying. But, he averages 20 a game, right? And then, he's like, oh, well, maybe I should take a back seat because I know that, they, are playing on all cylinders. So maybe I should just take a step back and allow them to kind of flourish, right? Duncan Robinson, that fourth quarter of that game, too, he was huge, right? Came in, I think he scored 10 points in the fourth, right? Gave them a kind of scoring punch. And that was the really cool thing, right? And Miami is just a team. They're it's not pretty.
Yep.
But they're gonna fight down to the death of the whistle.
How long do you think Gabe Vincent coming back and being healthy? I mean, that's been
huge
for sure.
Because they're like, because if you look at some of them, right, they'll double team Jimmy or they'll double team Bam or something. They'll blitz him, and then Gabe Vincent's wide open and he's knocking down the shot each time. So he's knocking it down. Caleb Martin's been huge for them as well. So I just think they have a bunch of shooters, and if you're gonna show so much attention to Jimmy or Bam, they're going to hurt you. And I thought, game one, they were just missing a lot of shots. But I think it's going to be an incredible series. I can't wait to see how it plays out. Both really good teams. I love finals like this. Teams you didn't think were going to be there are there. Denver's been good all year, but I can't wait to see how game two looks. And I told you, for Miami to have a chance, they're going to have to get a split. It's like can't go down 2-0. So they've done that, and we're going to see how it goes back in Miami in the games tomorrow. So any predictions for game three?
Gosh. Well, I think Miami probably lost a lot of people money in that last game. That block by Bam was impressive. I don't want to bet against Denver. I think they're definitely going to have a response, but it's like I wouldn't be surprised if this thing goes into 6 games eventually. I think I'm still going to pick Denver this next game. But the Heat are resilient, and they seem to have just magic this season.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a good game 3. I'm gonna roll with Miami. I still have Nuggets winning the series, but I think them being back home, being in front of the crowd, I think they're gonna be great offensively in this one. They're gonna have it going, and I think I'm gonna take Miami winning that and going up 2-1. But I still got Denver winning the series, but I think Miami's gonna win the next game. I think it's gonna be great. Obviously, Denver's gonna need Michael Porter Jr. to play better. Can't leave shooters open. He's 6'10" and long, so he's a guy that you can use all over the court. So he's just gonna have to buy in more defensively. Murray didn't have his best game. I think he only had 18 points, but I think they're gonna stay home on shooters from Miami, and they're gonna make Jokic and others try to beat them.
Yeah, I always think those stats are so funny. They're just like Denver loses this many times when Jokic goes over 40, and it's just such a worthless stat.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he went off. It was a close game. They very easily could have won it. It's like I don't think him scoring less. They were criticizing that he could have had more assists, but as you said, they weren't knocking it down, and then he was getting the buckets. So,
right.
I mean, he still is having an incredible series, but you're definitely right. Porter needs to knock down more shots.
Yeah, and to your question, Jimmy, I don't know. Is Jimmy Buckets Michael Jordan illegitimate? I mean, there's been rumors about that. I don't know if that's all fun and games, but I mean, that'd be kind of funny if it was, but obviously it's a little funny thing to kind of talk about. But I mean, Jimmy's just Jimmy. Jimmy is great. And, obviously he knows he's the star on the team, but he doesn't allow that to, hurt the team. And as Gabe Vincent said after game 1, we don't care what you think. We're going to play our game, and we got to get 3 more, and they don't care about what the media is saying. They're going to do them. And you love stories like that. And that's a bold prediction. Miami in 5. Yes. Gosh, Jimmy, you're going bold, my guy. That's definitely a bold prediction. But I love it, though. And kind of last topic, should Shannon Sharpe join ESPN in First Take? I think it's really interesting, right? There's been rumors that he's going to leave, and I think that's pretty much set in stone. And they're going to have either Nick Wright or LaShawn McCoy join Skip. Good luck to you guys if you're doing that. So I'm going to say that off rip. But I think Shannon Sharpe has built enough of a brand name for himself with his analysis of what he can do. And I think he would be a great addition to First Take. Obviously, I have Kendrick Perkins that comes on, JJ Redick, but he's a former NFL player. I think he can provide great insight on that, a Hall of Famer. And I think it would be, healthy for him, maybe just as a day job, just coming on the show and giving his thoughts and maybe being a co-host alongside Stephen A. I think it would bring more kind of attention to his show. Obviously, it's #1 show past 11 years, but I think it'd be a great addition.
Yeah, I mean, that dynamic, you said the word co-host. I think that's exactly right, because that's the whole problem with him and Skip.
Yeah.
Skip thinks it's his show.
Yeah.
Shannon just wants a word in, and then they're just going at it. So if he goes to ESPN with the new programming, is he going to have a 2-host, co-host role? Is he going to have his own show with guests? What's that going to look like? So I think it's up to him. I think he's big enough to have his own show, have a co-host, have a side guest. But I mean, that was the entire problem with him and Skip.
Yeah, and I think what happened was Skip was so big, and I think that Shannon, he equally got big or bigger than him. And I think, sometimes you'll have hosts and, let it get to kind of their head. Obviously, Skip's great and he makes the money, he make a couple of $1 million, but I definitely think that, Shannon's kind of outstarred him. And sometimes that's a tough pill to swallow, but it's like, I'm not going to hate on somebody else's success. I think you've seen that a lot. And he tried to come at him with different shots and things like that. So I think, Shannon just like, hey, I've had enough and I want to go to the new environment.
Yeah, it would be interesting if someone like who would replace Shannon in that role. I mean, if they get a big
Nick Wright or LaShawn McCoy, that's what they're saying. I don't know though. I don't know if I could work with Skip. No offense. I mean, I don't know if I could, but I think it's good for Shannon. And I think he's going to be great wherever he goes, whatever he decides to do.
My favorite Skip takes is like after in 2016, it was after the Cavs had that incredible championship win over the Warriors with LeBron and Kyrie. And the first thing out of Skip's mouth is, "Oh, they would have lost if they would have had to play the Spurs." It's like just
right.
Always hating,
literally,
always raining on the parade.
Literally,
so, I mean, you just expect it.
I agree. But before we wrap, man, any other topics you want to discuss? We didn't see our boy Dave, but man, as always, we appreciate you tuning in the show. We know you'll be back, but just any big things you want to hit on before we wrap the show.
We won't be here next Tuesday. We're going to be
that's
at
true.
the 7-on-7. So any of our first ever guests today, we'll be back to normal after that, but we're going to be at Georgia Tech next Tuesday.
Yes, so I think we're going to be there that following Tuesday too, right? Or is that Wednesday?
I think it's Wednesday.
Okay, yeah. So we're going to be at Georgia Tech. You know, with the 7-on-7, we're going to have full footage of that. It's going to be some great. It's Tuesday. Okay, so yeah, we might miss 2 weeks. What I'm going to try to do, see if we can maybe stream it.
Or move it to a Wednesday.
Move it to a Wednesday. So have a couple of special editions for you guys. Actually, comment below. The 5 people that have been tuning in, we definitely appreciate it. Comment below if you would want us to, you know, have a special edition show on another day, or obviously, you know, stream the 7-on-7. I think what we're going to try to do is you're going to have it on NFHS Network, but, you know, we're going to either do that, either stream it, or we're going to have a special edition show, but we're going to have all the footage back on our YouTube page. So y'all comment. We're probably going to do a post on it. Let us know what you guys would prefer, all of our audience. So that's all we got. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll be back pretty soon. Comment and let us know, you know, what you guys think.
Yep, that's it. Thank you so much to the guests today and all the audience for tuning in.
Yes, so definitely we're going to have JuJu Lewis. The interview is all up, and obviously with Carver Columbus coach Pierre Coffey as well. So thanks again, and we'll see you.